and it's part two. So we will be continuing, and due to technical issues, I have not lost the episode. So if you want to if you want to like know more about what we spoke about, that was in the earlier episode. Guys, I'm terribly sorry, but nonetheless, I continue. I get Mohit over. We were speaking about something as usual. I was speaking about spin selling. So continue watching and continue forward if you want to know more. So yes. Mohit over. You guys are listening to the podcast series for the non-fiction book club. So, bro,
Hey, I'm
almost
back.
lost the episode, but did not lose
Almost.
the episode.
Nice.
And no power, so let's just the power. I have to do something around that.
Right. Yeah, dude. Like acts of God. Nothing
Yeah,
you can
can't
do.
help it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it makes my life easier if it's IG and if we're just like recording and throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Later,
Fair
I can
enough.
like post produce and
Yeah.
edit it out. Versus I do the other one also. That's like two episodes are still in motion. I have to still edit it and put it out
Right.
for the other podcast. So, but yeah. So, where were we?
Yeah, we are talking about quiet, and you're talking about
Yeah,
Chris Voss, and you're talking about how like the active listening part, I guess. Like
yeah,
you would have a negotiator who would be more effective if he was more of a laid back person than the other guy was.
controlled basically.
Right.
I
And
have to get into that.
yeah.
Makes sense.
Speaking of which, like if you are into like getting into the how the FBI hostage negotiating team actually came up with a system, there's this excellent book called Starling for Life by Gary Tobbs.
Okay,
So there is so there is like a famous incident that happened in the 90s where there was a cult involved and there was a like a really botched siege by like FBI people, okay,
right,
like a criminal activity, and they had actually got negotiators in, and he gives you like a full case study of what to do, what not to do during a negotiation. Like beautiful, beautiful book. Like
yeah,
like you can learn so much in that one case study, and out of that one incident, like when you start like getting case studies which are done in extreme situations, like all of the bullshit gets like cut off. Like you will only get the
right,
significant, the nutritious,
yeah.
information which actually make a difference. Yeah.
Say that again. The book,
Stalling for Life by Gary Tobbs. He's the
Gary
mentor
Tobbs.
of Chris Voss, by the way.
Okay, even makes it even
Yeah.
more interest.
Yeah, dude, no doubt.
Mm.
Speaking of
Yeah, go on.
one more book I would like to recommend is Chris Voss has a company called the Black Swan Group. They are a negotiating and a consulting company. So there is I forgot the name of the author, but he's a member of the Black Swan Group, all right? And he has a book called Ego, Authority, Failure. So it
Mm.
is hostage negotiator leadership. Like how do you be a leader using the principles of hostage negotiation to lead your team? Because even the hostage negotiators have a team too, and they have like a system of how to like lead. And the whole basis of the book is like how your ego can come in the way of you being effective in your outcomes. And as an architect, right, this is something which is like I feel like taking a 180 because there is in the architecture culture there is whole story about the architect's ego. Okay, so it all comes
Right.
like given us like a sense of a story which is like a misconception. I feel I may find you may find a lot of architects who may not agree with this notion, but
Mm.
yeah. So that's one thing we should really check out. Ego
I'm losing
authority
you,
failure.
bro. I'm losing you.
Hello.
Yeah, but your audio video is a bit bleak.
Oh, but you could hear me, right?
I can.
Okay.
Now you're an 8-bit.
Oh shit, dude. My bad. I think
Yeah, now
something.
it's getting better.
Okay. Some like my
Yeah,
internet, bro.
network.
Your
Can't
electricity
help
over
it.
there, my
Yeah,
internet over here. Yeah.
walking on tight ropes.
Yeah.
Yeah, now we're better. So,
Right.
like, I'm curious again, okay? So, it's not like we read the book and day after tomorrow we're executing all these books. So,
Yeah.
when do you think the book actually comes into fruition? Like, when does it come into play? Like, that's a long, like, open ended question. Like you can answer it any which way you want, but like when do you like personally? Like I would like I want to know where do you think because there can be books that we read that not necessarily can be useful today, tomorrow, or never for that matter, but like somewhere
Yes.
down the line, right?
This
How are
is
you thinking about that?
Yeah, this is an excellent question, dude. Like, a really good point. Like, even in the last chapter of spin selling, right? Neil Rackham also says that these are methodologies which are like a skill that you got to practice. So, how do you take from theory and getting into practice, actually putting into your life? So, there is a there are two quotes, okay, that I just want to talk about. See, when you have like a goal and you have to like it's a like a heuristic goal. It's heuristic in the sense it is not easily definable. So you can say that I want to make I want to get a lot of sales. So how much is a lot of sales? Like what is like the specific measurable result you're talking about here?
Hmm.
And when it comes to like you implementing your the theory from the book, he talks about that how it's the importance of details. It's not the importance of the whole the whole strategy. It's about the tiny details which make or break the skill. So like I'll just put a quote that is really like thinks it's apt for this. It's by William Blake. Okay, he's a poet. He who would do good to another must do it in minute particulars. General good is the plea of the scoundrel, hypocrite, and flatterer. For art
Yeah.
and science cannot exist but in minutely organized particulars. So by that, what I mean is you read a book, you are like moved by it. It is a great idea. You want to implement it now. Like, what do you do? Do you go for like full like a abstract goal which doesn't make any sense, which is not actionable now, or you do the smallest thing necessary and start from there? That's where atomic habits basically comes in. So
Hmm.
when it comes to spin selling, it's all about using those spin questions. If you start trying to do spin questions in immediately, it's likely you will end up in failing. So instead of going for that, how about you do the most minimal thing you can do? Every conversation, you start asking questions. Like that's the beginning of you doing spin selling. Like you
Right.
keep asking questions. And when it comes to writing also, if you are like going to write a novel, which is like a big goal, and you just read a book like Stephen King's on writing, like that's where he talks about how to write
Great
a
book.
novel. Great book. And in that, like, you want to like implement it, but you will be discouraged if you are like the goal is to like, you know what, I'm gonna go for it. Like, it might help you to think that you're gonna do the minimum possible thing to get you one step forward. So that's like what I can what I think is gonna like really move it. Yeah.
Right. Um, that makes sense. Um, but when does the philosophy, yeah, if the philosophy ever sits in us, do you think it's immediate, or would it take years, or would it take like the maturity for that intersection point between the philosophy that we read and where we are in our life to meet
Yeah.
that point where it actually starts making sense? And then since we had that like that mindset from that book, then we can implement it. Can we say something like that? If I'm if I were to put words into your mouth, can I, is it
Yeah.
something like that?
Like, yeah, like as you are you saying how the in the beginning that the philosophy may not be, you may not be able to apply
Okay.
in your life soon,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Like How to Disappear. There's a book, right?
I don't
Right?
know about this. What is
How
how
to
to
be
disappear?
invisible. How to be invisible or
Oh,
disappear. Right?
right. Yeah,
Right.
off
Like
the grid.
there's no, yeah, off the grid kind of stuff. Like there's no use. You never use that. But somewhere you would have read a bushcraft book on bushcraft, right? But
Yeah.
like this, you're living in like, the city. There's no use for you to use bushcraft, but
Right.
you've read it nonetheless. And there are, or how to tie knots, and like there's a whole nice
Yeah.
big book on like how to tie different
But
kinds
you'll
of
always
knots.
have it in the back of your mind, dude. Like
Yeah,
you never
yeah,
know when it's
exactly.
gonna
Right.
help you,
So
right?
therein, like, that was my point, that like when you read, do you discern as to like I need it right now, or like I'm going, like, since how I look at it is as it's as young as I get. So like the farther end of how young I am is like when I go very broad, and then as I get older, I get a feel of like this is
You
the
start
way I
focusing.
go. Yeah, I put things on the back burner. I don't take it away completely, right? I take random books on the back burner, and like the things that I'm focusing on, like, and that's how I'm looking at it versus earlier and still do. I just read like everything. I don't like even judge a book by the cover. I just don't even like look at the cover. I just
Right.
randomly click on all the PDFs. I just go random, 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 random,
Yeah.
random. Because again, like I don't want my conscious left part of my brain like, oh, this book heading looks nice and like
Right.
stuff like that, right? So
Right. Right.
when I click randomly and when I go into the book like that, then I'm like, okay, what book is this? I try to do stuff like that so that I trick myself into going, because again you start unknowingly start judging the book by the cover, by the heading of it. So like when I do that, somewhere I find I discover the book because like somewhere it
Yeah.
can be hidden, right?
Like when it comes to that, right? There's this book called the the Net and the Butterfly by Olivia Fox Cabane. It's a book about how you can get breakthrough ideas and what are the things you got to do, the habits you got to do to get these kind of ideas. So one of the things that you're doing, multiple domains, you're exploring, have a very broad generalist, net.
Yeah,
Then yeah, you're likely to catch like an idea which was never thought of before. And
yeah,
when it comes to like focused reading, right? See, like spin selling is for my career basically. There's an intended
yeah,
purpose, like so I need to make a
exactly.
list of a reading list, so I go for it. But at the same time, it's not that I'm like consider this. I draw birds when I'm like not
Yeah,
there's I don't think I'm gonna get like any monetary benefit from drawing birds. But
yeah,
like
yeah.
drawing birds is like something which I have no idea if it's gonna help me in the future or not.
Exactly,
So I'm getting
exactly.
to yeah. So similarly, Isaac Newton, when he came up with the calculus, rediscovered calculus, came up with the gravitational whatever, he was also
Yes,
dabbling with alchemy. Alchemy is something that never got him any
I've heard. I
accolades.
recently read
Yeah,
about that. Yes.
yeah, and that guy was willing to explore alchemy. And Charles Darwin, when he was researching all the origin of species, he spent a long time of his life just researching one species. Like that, like it wouldn't. You wouldn't know if it helps you or not. Like
So,
you'll never
right.
know. Yeah, if it in the end of the day, if it's gonna get you the accolades or the success that
Yeah,
you're talking about. But they're worth
because
going though. Yeah,
they're worth going, and again, it's like you should, in order for again how again to quote this guy Naval, right? How he
yeah,
says is like you have to like in the combinatrix of things is where you find answers and where you can distinguish yourself,
true.
right? Escape competition through authenticity,
Yeah,
right? And when you do that, and when you're doing a broad understanding of like where I can sit and like that's where it helps, right? For my example myself, I never knew I could host. I never knew I could talk. I knew obviously like now that I think of it, like it seems obvious, but like I wouldn't have ever tried if it was not because like I wanted to try it out. I wanted to see if I could like do it. But looking back, obviously, I was in drama. I was into drama. I was on the stage. I was in elocution classes, and I used to win prizes. That was embedded in our like childhood
yeah,
like memory. That was you did something as a kid. That's what you're told, right? You have to like do other stuff. But like
yeah,
now that I look back, I understand like probably why I'm still okay with like being on the camera, being able to speak and stuff like that was because like I was okay with it from the beginning, right? I
yeah,
was in elocution classes, and it made me again think because I wouldn't have like forayed into this kind of stuff ever hosting a podcast or hosting for that matter,
yeah,
ever. But how's that? Because
yeah,
again, I was looking at like what needs to be done, and can I do it? And can I do it possibly over the years? Can I do it like successfully and stuff? Successfully in terms of like not embarrass myself and like
yeah,
stuff like that. And when I did that, it's almost felt I was a natural because like natural again, as I told you, like you can be a natural, but like what does it take you? What does it take for you to go from that 0 to 1 and from onward, right? But
right,
when I
right,
did that, I realized which I wouldn't have. That my point being was like I wouldn't have understood all of this without actually trying out different things, and that again came to like reading different kind of books. I wouldn't have
right,
like I wouldn't have like understood. endocrinology. Not like I'm saying like I fucking condensed everything and I know everything at the back of my head, but like
Yeah, I
that
get it,
concept
get
was
it.
so interesting, right?
Yeah.
That concept was, let's say I have an endocrinologist in a podcast now,
Mhm. You'll
right?
be able to speak to him. You'll be able to gel
I'll
with
be
him.
able to speak to him. That
Yeah.
because the combinatrix of things. I'm good at speaking. Plus, I've read a bit about that, so I know what questions to ask, and I'll be able to place myself as the possibly one of the only guys who will be able to like have a good conversation with an endocrinologist in the fitness podcast, for that example, or
Right.
like our normal podcast. So I
Right.
wouldn't have hadn't that effect of combinatrix because like again, I had to spend these many years in one field and then like understand this and then see a vantage point from there and go to another. So that's why how books help me to sort of like discover myself. And
Yeah.
it's easier because like the common narrative is to like you have to spend 2 years learning digital marketing, get your certification,
Yeah.
and you have to like you have to spend so much, and then you have sunken cost fallacy where you like the rest of the years you go by trying to get
Yeah.
that only job that you like actually like spent money for. Obviously sunken cost
Yeah.
fallacy, you can't, you've paid up money for it, right? But I don't look at like my skill acquisition is or like
Right.
learning acquisition, not like that. I pick up 2 3 books, I do practical stuff, and then I put
Yeah.
it in the back burner, I see where it sits,
It's funny
right?
that you should mention that sunken cost fallacy because that's the chapter I'm on in Influence right now. The commitment slash.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And
Right.
see, like normal human psychology and all these biases and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
I never understood it. I never understood it. Obviously, when you read it, it's not like now I know the entire world. But
Yeah.
I understood all of this, I read all of this probably 4 to 5 years back. It's coming
Yeah.
to a full circle now after three to
Yeah,
four to
bro.
5 years, right?
You know what? There is a phenomenon which was actually like observed by this guy, Carl Jung. Carl Jung back in the early 20th century, right? Brilliant guy, right? Like he was able
Yeah.
to like write some of the insights about human human
Mind.
nature, which was like way beyond like which was able to be understood back then. And there is a concept that he talks about called circumambulation.
Circumambulation. Yes.
Yeah, so basically what it is that throughout your life, right, it's not that your growth of a human being or your potential is like a linear growth. It's not that you
Yeah.
go from 0 to 1 in like a straight line like up there. It's almost like a randomness,
Circumambulate.
like this Fibonacci's spiral, dude. Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what the song in Tool is all about. So
Yeah.
you keep spiraling, you keep come close to, if the center is your ideal self and you have like a low resolution picture of it, as in then you keep orbiting to your ideal self, you come close to it and sometimes you go way further apart and you come close again, and there comes a point where it is implied that you may reach to that thing,
Destination.
your destination of you being the ideal self. And in the back of your mind, right, like even in like esoteric practices or like mysticism, like this story keeps coming up that like what you have to assume, what I'm going to speak now is about how the Greeks used to view the Greek gods, like they're like the pantheon, right? So the Zeus, Hera, Ares, Aphrodite, and all of that, they have their own motivations. But the god that the deity who takes messages from each of these gods is Hermes. Hermes is the messenger of the gods. He's the person in your mind who tells you what you're interested in. So basically, like the Greeks believe that whenever you're interested in something and you're going to that direction, it's Hermes giving you a message that this could be something that's worth it. So this
Potential.
is potential. So when you are like, so look, right now I never considered like I could be a musician. I mean, like back
Right.
in the day I
Yeah.
took some chances with like classical music and all the small town
Yeah.
stuff, but I never
Yeah.
considered myself that I could rap, like even though I remember distinctly that I used to rap back in my high school.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
like,
See.
and again I've come back, it's taken a long time, and after that I'm
Yeah.
back again. Like it's like I've taken a whole orbit and I'm like back close to like what the ideal self
Exactly.
supposed to look like. So see, here's the irony about like how the institutions, right? If you got to get into these institutions or these colleges, universities, they see your resume or whatever that thing is, and they look for all the extracurricular activities. But in the end of the day, once you get in, they ask you to specialize, which is like a huge, what do you say, very ironic. Like
Yeah.
the age of the specialist is coming to an end now. Like
Yeah.
for more, you got to check out this book called Range.
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 David
Yeah, yeah.
Epstein. Dave
I guess
Epstein.
so. Yeah, yeah. Like unfortunate last name, but
Tiger
yeah, that's
Woods and
yeah,
the story of Tiger Woods and right. Tiger Woods,
uh,
who worked only on golf,
yeah,
and Roger Federer, who worked on all the sports when he was a kid.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
The cover of the book is a key,
yeah,
right? Is
yeah.
a key.
Like bunch of keys. Yeah, yeah. It's a baby blue color. Right.
Yeah, love the book. Again, that was like the classic. Like so, that book. Then we have a whole new mind, right?
Yeah,
That's what. Like you can like have an algorithm as to the book wise. Where do you like search for information? So these books
yeah,
again taught me that like we have to go a bit broader because we're talking about automation. We're talking about stuff
yeah.
that can easily be automated. Like like I have instances of people telling that like I use a software that will eventually automate me,
Right.
right?
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
Right? I'm using
yeah,
that so that one day, if I am not there, that is going to work.
yeah.
Then who's going to like pay you so that
Universal basic
like
income, bro. That's the
yeah.
likely outcome.
So then now the next question is, in India, it's a difficult question. Like I wouldn't want to get into that because like that's politics which I don't like understand and deal into.
Yeah.
Right? But if you're universal basic income too, then what do you do? Like what does a human do?
I think that's it. Like, it's not that, for a long time, right? Work was considered like
Yeah.
that's actually pretty recent, by the way. That work, like, it comes from this,
Post agriculture, industrialization.
yeah, like the Protestant work ethic. That's what it's called. Like, it comes from the value from Calvinism. Anybody who doesn't work is just degraded in society as a lazy person.
Yes.
However, if you notice that the question when you ask, like, what are people gonna do if they don't work for a living? Like you have a long history of people who lived in royalty, who are also human beings, who had like a lot of time for themselves. And what do? They spend time on art, they spend time on gardening, they spend time on bird watching, like maybe
Yeah.
drawing birds, like whatever. So I don't think that's a problem, Again, it's not something that I think about a lot. But universal basic income, I think it is inevitable. There is this concept called a Kardashev scale. Basically, the scale
Yeah,
of
Kardashev.
yeah, like how much a civilization is going to improve with this technology. We are right now in type 0.7 because type 1 means we begin to use the complete potential of our planet. So right now we are just 0.7. We have not reached 1 yet. But I think type 1 will be reached soon enough. We'll be living in a type 1 is considered a post scarcity society. Right now, whatever scarcity we're seeing now, it's beyond that. If you want to know like about a great book about where this is completely explored, you should check out the book called a fictional sci-fi book called Culture series. It was recommended
Nice.
by Elon Musk. Yeah.
So that's what. So I plan to again get into fiction, only like futurism and science fiction, so that I start
Yeah.
ideating and like that's what I told you. No, I got into like Arduino and stuff like that recently.
Yeah,
So
nice,
I'm
dude.
just like playing around again, like
Yeah.
full circle, like Kevin Kelly speaking about cognification of things, and like Kevin
If
Kelly
you
is
want to
like
get into coding, right, I highly
not
recommend.
coding exactly. That's what I wanted to tell you. Not coding
Okay,
because
not
like
coding. Okay.
it's not like I don't want to. It's because like there's already I'm dabbling in a lot of stuff,
Right,
and I
right.
know coding is again like I would probably consider it as circumambulatory and like passive.
Yeah.
That's how I usually learn. I'll put it in the back burner, pull it in when I
You'll
want
get it
to.
through osmosis. You'll hang out with
Yeah.
programmers.
Yeah, programmers and stuff like that. And then that's a skill set. That's a knack. Is again what I say because like you want to be a sports person, go out to the fucking basketball court and be there, right? And
Yeah.
just chill with them. Like slowly you start picking things up, but
Yeah.
then you can use the same learning how to learn again. But what I was telling was Kevin Kelly, right? He was telling about cognification and IoT, and where actually it's going to be 5 to 7 years, 5 to 7 years at the minimum,
Yeah.
right? So I look
actually have
like
no doubt
there's
about it.
yeah.
Pretty
So
much convinced about it. Yeah.
so I wouldn't have to learn coding. Right now, what I'm doing is there's GitHub. Like there's a vast
Yeah.
resource of
Right.
people who've done all the projects.
Yeah.
Download this one, a Flash or Arduino with this one, and it allows me to again understand electronics, which I became interested because I was in music production. But music production is this part of everything on the GUI, on the user interface, basically, nothing physical.
Right.
But again, we have first principles where Elon Musk talked about how he like that was that fucking fucked with my mind one day.
Yeah.
He's like rockets, right?
Yeah.
There's something missing in the rockets. These guys are like making rockets. Why can't I fucking make rockets? And he like just broke down, like in the video, broke down. This
Yeah.
costs this much. This costs
Yeah.
this much. If I put this much together, and the cost
Yeah.
doesn't add up. The rockets, the
Yeah.
Russians
Why
are
is it so
telling me,
goddamn expensive?
yeah, it's expensive.
Yeah.
Then when I looked into it, it's possible. I'm
Yeah.
able to make my own rockets.
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy's making rockets. Why can't I make my own MIDI controller and a synthesizer?
Yeah, dude. Oh, dude, that's
Right?
hardcore,
Like,
man. That's awesome.
yeah. So that's so relatively nothing. If I lose, if I fail on it, I'm losing out a couple of grand, $1,000 at the max, and like experience. I've gained experience, not wasted time. Also, I wouldn't call it a waste because when I'm making that shit, no, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm looking at random videos and I'm hoping that shit worked. And it worked
Yeah.
actually. Like
Yeah.
I was so fucking shocked that I was going in knowing that like I'm gonna like not do this. I stayed up the whole night trying to like fucking figure it out. But I knew that night is gonna be a waste night, like a waster of a night because like some part of me telling like you're not gonna fucking do it. Like just go to sleep.
Yeah.
But then I kept doing it, but I got the project like what I started out with the
Yeah.
Arduino. I wanted to make a basic MIDI controller where you have a switch, and if you press it correlates to the DAW, is our music production, this one. So if I
Nice.
press the button, it acts as the button there. I'll be able to program it. It's very easy.
Awesome,
But
dude.
again,
Yeah.
right, so once when I did that, right, first principles, I broke it down to first principle. What do you
Yeah.
need? Like you need an Arduino. And then
Yeah.
when you have an Arduino, you'll have like buttons and all that, which is worth pennies, bro. That was
Yeah.
like some 300, 400 bucks. The buttons were
Yeah.
1 rupee, 2 rupee themselves.
Yeah.
But important is time and like again understanding like where it sits. To be frank, I hated obviously electronics and mathematics and physics, like hated
Bro,
it
yeah,
because
I
like the
totally
way
get
we're fed with it, right? But here I was so motivated because as I told you, I entered this field through electronic music production. And when I entered through electronic music production, it was more about knobs, oscillators, frequency. It was more about like amplitude. It was more about learning about fundamentals of like sound, how heavy the lower frequency sounds. How is sound created for that matter? How do you understand sound synthesis? How are
Right.
two waves are like brought together and made into a saw wave? How two sine waves are like put together to create a certain kind of a sound, right?
Right.
So these kind of concepts that became interesting. Then the deeper end is physics. Then the deeper end is electronics.
Acoustics,
Now
yeah.
I'm acoustics and all that stuff. Now I'm in the right path. I'm
Yeah.
like I have intent.
Yeah.
Because like I have this relationship with music. Anything that I do here,
Yeah.
like this part is going to evolve, like the music part is going to evolve, right?
Yeah.
Just because I got into Arduino, it's not because I'm going to do more on Arduino. Actually my music production gets interesting, right? Because which I've already worked over the years, right? So anything that I like foray out of, but somewhere relative to like music production, anything that I do here, it motivates me because it's like a two-pronged attack now. Like anything I do with this, like music somewhere gets interesting and better, right?
Right.
And like now I want to look at it in a way that don't want to like fucking make. Plus, as you understand, right? Sure, these are all designer things made in Thailand and designed in USA and made in Thailand and like marketed everywhere and sold everywhere, right?
Yeah.
That's probably made by someone like us who are thinking from first principles, doing product development and stuff like that. He bothered to do it and sell it mass market.
Yeah.
But I wanted to start it off to make things myself. Again,
Right.
that concept sat very well with what Kevin Kelly was speaking about. We're going to 3D print our own shit. We're
Yeah,
going to have IoT. We're gonna do you and I are gonna do it, but the difference is like I'm already doing it. That's what. Like I'm 5 to 8 years, I believe. That's where if you're already going like that, what's the use? Like there's no loss, I thought, in terms of there's no like sunken cost fallacy which is gonna irritate me. Like if I buy the Arduino,
Yeah. Like,
right, I'm gonna use it for any project.
True.
I can use it for any project. Right. I can then. I'm not going to lose anything. Plus, we're headed that way. Tomorrow, everybody will buy a couple of Arduinos because they want to just flash some shit and like 3D print, right? if I
Yeah.
understand Arduino well enough, I can probably build a 3D printer.
Dude, that's the same logic I'm going with learning how to code. Like if you're gonna get into programming, right? I highly recommend this. Harvard has this open
Huh.
courseware. Basically,
Open
it's called
courseware,
C.
MIT Open
Yeah,
courseware.
yeah, exactly. But Harvard has one for computer science, like CS50. So,
Yeah.
like you start with a program called Scratch, where you can create your own animations and
Bro,
games.
okay, I'll tell
Yeah,
you the funny part.
yeah,
Right. I'm
yeah. Like,
computer science. Tried to study computer
oh,
science.
okay, okay. Go on.
Now is it bizarre enough?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
is
Go
it
on.
like even more funny that like I'm coming around, like some sort of
Yeah.
circumambulation is happening within this
So
too.
there you
Like
go.
I
Yeah,
tried studying coding, bro. Like I hated it. Obviously, I hated it because like I started studying in my second year.
yeah.
Like
Dude, in
I
high school, right?
understand.
I was pretty
No,
sure that I was gonna be getting into software, but then in the last moment I got into architecture, and like
yeah,
now, like again, circumambulation is happening with me. I'm getting back into coding now, so it's like
yeah.
all over the place.
It starts with intent, I feel, right?
Yeah.
So I talked about music production. How did I get to music production?
Mhm.
I'm okay. We are getting off topic, but
Yeah.
I'm going to refer to books definitely along the way so that like
Yeah.
everything that I
Actually, I
possibly
did want to
do.
ask you, like, what did you get into, like, to get into Arduino and all that electronic stuff? Like, what books would you recommend? Like, like Kevin Kelly's.
Practical stuff, and there are practical stuff, and then
Uh-huh.
again, I told you, right, it's a combination of people who are already in the field, practical
Right.
stuff, and a couple of books. It's not
Right.
only books, because skin in the game, Nicholas Nassim Taleb. to
Yeah.
make the to make the episode relevant, I'm quoting again books because I understand we're in the book podcast, right?
Right.
But
Right.
so what happens is, skin in the game is, again, you gotta like be in the game, you gotta like have your skin in the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the book wise, there are a couple of projects which says evil genius, evil 15 evil projects for the evil genius, Arduino projects for the evil
Oh, I
genius, or something
see.
like that.
Okay.
There
Okay.
are some
Okay.
books.
Gotta check
There
that
are some
out.
books,
Yeah.
right? Just like search on Google, right? I download a lot of books. But where it's important is where YouTube sits nicely is, somebody's done the project. They're going to show you a video of how it works, how to hook it
Yeah.
up,
Yeah.
right? How to hook it up. This is the code. This is in GitHub. Do this. There are comments
Yeah.
which which demystify like some troubleshoot problems. So it's an
Right.
active
Right.
community in the the video itself, right? So I'm
Right.
actively
Right.
learning, right?
Actively
So I should be
learning.
able
Got
to,
it.
and I should be possibly like, I don't have to possibly learn with CPT3 again, right?
When
I
you're
wouldn't
talking
have to
about
like,
this evil genius thing, you're talking about Simon Monk,
yeah,
right?
I guess so.
Uh-huh. Right. Right. Right.
Right. So possibly I wouldn't have to code because again CPT3, or
GPT-3. Yeah.
right,
See,
GPT3.
when you said that you are getting into Arduino and making your own stuff, that you're gonna get to do that your own stuff someday, right? When I'm getting into coding, like I am of this belief that, you know what, GPT-3 is here. You're eventually gonna see an artificial general intelligence by 2030, like a very
Yeah,
smart
AGI.
artificial intelligence, and people will start creating their own AGIs, own artificial general intelligence. So if I was gonna create my own stuff, I would probably create my
Huh.
own AGI. So I would like to
Yes.
like know how it's done. So it's like, even though I'm not doing coding for like a monetary benefit as of now,
Yeah.
like whatever, like we match in that way. Like you're
It's a skill set.
yeah, skill set. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's not like I'm not going to learn coding. The thing is, I don't judge. I don't judge
Yeah.
like whether coding at this point of time, right? Because if
Yeah.
I had judged, am I a Arduino guy, I wouldn't have done the
Yeah.
project,
Right.
right? So I didn't judge. I went ahead and did that. Again, as I told you, right? This aspect of 10,000 hours,
Hours. Yeah.
right? That is the concept of, he convinced me that if I shove something to your brain for like 10,000 hours, you'll be able to like figure it out. That's how the brain works.
Right.
For 10,000 hours, if I show you like a basketball, even though it's an unknown object, like your brain can't help but get around the fact that it's a basketball after 10,000
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
That is the beauty of it. Like shove anything in front of it. So that's the concept. Like, I'm going to wait. I don't understand anything. It's going to take me a while. That's how I look at it, right? So coding, as I told you, again, the circumambulatory thing comes into probably all the shit that I tried to learn for projects and like,
Yeah.
like did shit for my friends. I try to copy and like stdio or dot h and shit. And now I have a base. I'm not really a beginner, but like my mind was not there. My mind was not there. I'll give you a better example. Okay, in fitness, right? What you really know to do, learn nutrition and fitness is basic biology.
Right.
It's basic biology. Fats, proteins, carbohydrates. If you know that, if you know what you're eating, if I give you something, an apple, you should be able to tell what's the sugar content, what's calories, what is the fat, if there is protein in it. If I give you another object to eat, you should be able to demystify it and decode it as to what it is. That is basic biology, bro. That is all of us know it.
Yeah.
Right. But the thing is, when we were studying biology, it was not in that context and intent.
Yeah.
So what happens is, as we are growing, right? Even though we understand, we passed bio, I got 98 in bio, we can tell that.
Yeah.
But if I see you like going, not understanding nutrition and like this one, you actually know it and you're not using it. Then you're almost to the point you're abusing the knowledge that you have. Don't you think so? Like, right, you have it within you, but what they don't teach you is contextualization, application. Right. If I can reteach you bio and get your health on track, because it's like it's already embedded, you know it. But I haven't brought it into relation as to how does it sit. When you eat, you have to have these.
Like we all know exactly what to do to get into shape, but we don't do it. It's like
no, that too. But this aspect of there is this native, there is this how do I call it? Inactive, native, like a sleeping giant within ourselves of information.
Subconscious.
It's there.
Region.
It's not subconscious. We've read, we've studied, we've mugged it up for exams. We've mugged it up without application.
Like you'll always have it in a repository.
Right. So if I'm able to wake that sleeping giant up in you and say, you're gonna eat 1,800 calories a day, you're gonna eat this many proteins. It's not like some random shit I'm speaking to you. You've already read that in 10th standard biology. I'm putting it in context.
Putting it in context.
Putting it in context. So that's how probably coding will be like. All that shit that I tried mugging up and all the lab and all that shit I have. It's not like it's new thing. It's I wouldn't have culture shock because I've already experienced it. Like of all the coding and all this random shit. Like I don't know how the fuck is this working. Now I have intent. With coding, I'll be able to do Arduino with Arduino, blah blah blah. I can like fucking like build my own systems. When I have intent, when I have the follow through of what I want to do, probably all that can sit through, right?
Right.
So that's an interesting concept that I also like saw. Like all of us have that. That's why I say again, like this battle between like should you get a degree and all that shit. It is important because you never probably know when
this might be useful.
It might be useful, and then again it depends on what kind of a learner are you. Are you a proactive learner or like a reactive? Should somebody teach you and like shove things down your throat? You're like a reactive learner, and then that will help you probably over the years because you are a reactive learner, because you already I know all of this, bro, I have to learn more, versus a proactive learner can like pick up anything and start learning because again he has intent. So coming to my point, like I want to do Arduino because like again I can make synthesizers, I can make like modern age guitars, age guitars in terms of guitars with art and doodle on it, and probably a small embedded electronics in it, like with a bit of compression and like stuff like that. So now a guitar is like because the guitar hasn't changed over the years. It's just like you have 7 strings, they've added a couple of strings. But in terms of all of this needs combinatorics of understanding.
Combinatorics.
You have to understand where the guitar sits. Right. I'm a bit of a musician myself, right? Like I understand because I love the guitar. But I also understand marketing. I understand the gap in the market as to where the gap in the guitar sits in. Plus, I know there is like a need for people to buy guitar, but like probably they'll not like buying it. Probably it looks shitty because like again it's like plain colors. So then there is the art. So art. You have to like draw some kind of like doodle and like make it appealable and stuff like that. And the other part is it must be like futuristic. Obviously, it should have some kind of like appendages, so to speak, like electronic stuff within it. It should be a bit of a hybrid so that it's more fun now. You can connect it to your phone and start playing and stuff like that. That's like a modern day guitar 2.0, right? That is combinatorics of things. If you're able to look at different vantage points, you can like develop a product without Arduino, you wouldn't probably, again, you'll be wasting time and money telling someone else to do it. Right. And again, as Naval says, if you want it done, go.
Go do
Or
it.
if you don't, send someone else.
Send someone. Fair
Principal
enough.
agent problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Great,
So,
dude. Like, shall we wrap it up for tonight and we'll continue?
definitely, bro.
Yeah, like we should get into more, of Arduino stuff. Like, let me do my own due diligence.
Yeah. Just, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
the easier thing is just get an Arduino.
Uh-huh.
That's all. Like, then get a couple of resistors and shit. It's just maximum $500. Just don't order it off the internet. Get it from probably SP Road or something. So it's easier.
Right.
Just get that, and then that's the thing. You can recode it to do anything you want. You can
Right.
you can make it to be a 3D printer. And the beauty of a 3D printer is you can build a bigger 3D printers with the older 3D printer. Right? With the bigger 3D printer, you can have to build a bigger 3D printer because you have the bigger 3D printer which was born because of the small 3D printer.
You buy a 3D printer, you print your 3D printer, and you return the 3D printer back to the shop.
3D printer back probably, right? So there are many ways, right? And CCTVs, inventory management, and data science, and AI. I'm throwing out keywords, but like from my understanding of what I'm understanding, it's like I'm sitting far, and I can see where like the confluence of things is, but I haven't like put my feet into it. But I'm slowly heading there, and we have time, at least so to speak. And there is a slack. What happens in the US is like it's gonna come over like 2 to 3 years. Before it was 8 years. Now at least it's going to take 2 to 3 years to come to India, at least. So we have slack. We can sit and we can take our roads. We can
have our own homegrown those things, dude. Like, I don't even think we have to wait for the US guys to come up with it. We'll come up with it already. It seems like that to me.
Yeah, bro. Because again, the book, Dan Pink's book, like Whole New Mind, again says about that, right? It's design thinking is the most important thing, actually. Design thinking is the most important thing, right? People in the US were very good at design thinking. People in Thailand, people in China, people in Thailand, India, Bangladesh were very good at building that, whatever the 3D printing was. Whatever the design, the manufacturing, the design was, they're able to look at it. Again, that comes to my point of being proactive versus reactive. If you are proactive, you'll do it. You will design it yourself. Versus reactive is they'll tell you what to design, you send the design, give it away, they'll sell it back to you at a 40 with a added price value of 40%, right?
True.
So it started making sense. Again, the Whole New Mind was like a great book that
No doubt.
very important. It made sense, bro.
Go ahead and buy it. Anybody who's watching, just go ahead and
Dan Pink, Robert Greene, and Malcolm Gladwell, like all the books, like you gotta have it.
So
that's great, bro.
Let's wrap it up. I gotta run now. It was a great
definitely
talk as always. So
as usual, we'll get into something. We'll get more books, or we'll read out stuff from books too. I hope you guys liked what we're doing here. This is part of the Bangalore Book Club, the podcast for a non-fiction Bangalore Book Club. So I'm mumbling words, but because too many podcasts. That's what's happening. See you guys.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Take care. Not burnouts, too many podcasts. See you. Good night, bro. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.